So today we are doing some edge retention testing with the Vosteed Porcupine in 14C28N and the Kershaw Bel-air in Magnacut. So here I'm just doing some initial edge testing with the Vosteed, and you can see it slices through that paper well, and we're going to go jump right in and start taking down some cardboard. So I did 20 slices through this pretty hefty cardboard. If you've ever handled a diaper box, you know what I'm talking about. And we can see this edge is still holding up just fine. Still going through that paper with ease. This is pretty thin paper, so sometimes it does tear when you get it started. But it's still looking really good. So let's go ahead on. Edge still has some bite. And we will make another 20 cuts. Let's see how it's holding up. It's still gliding right on through. Doing a little shave test, still shaving hair just fine. Let's go ahead and take it back to the cardboard and keep going. And by the way, these both have been sharpened right before this up to a 1000 grit edge. So this is where the edge starts to give me a little bit of problem, and it's catching on the cardboard some, and it's not cleanly cutting through, it's binding up some. So let's go ahead and give it another test on the paper, and as we can see, we are losing some of our edge where it's hitting that cardboard. Still making through the paper okay, but we are definitely catching more than we were before. Moving on to do the initial cut test with our Kershaw Bel-air, and we can see we can do some curve tests in this paper, and it's making easy work of it. Again, sometimes it will tear a little bit when you're trying to start the cut. That's just because it's this very thin, easily tearable paper. As we can see, it'll get right through it pretty easily. And we can move on to our initial cardboard cutting. So I've got the same amount of cardboard set aside for each knife. I split this box into 2 halves. And we're going to do a similar process. We're going to cut through the same chunk, about 20 cuts, and then move on to test the paper. There is no difference after the first 20. So let's go ahead on and move on to some more cuts. And I can tell with this Bel-air, it is thinner overall blade stock, so it is making much easier work on this cardboard. It's definitely not catching as much as the Porcupine. After another set of cuts, we can see we might have a little bit of catch, but it's still making it through that paper pretty well. Feeling that the edge still has some good bite to it, and there's no noticeable wear on the edge so far. So now I am noticing a little bit of wear on this edge. It's definitely catching more on the paper than it was before after the entire portion of the box that I cut with it. And that's to be expected. Cardboard can be a very abrasive material against knife blades. But we can still see we're able to still make some pretty smooth cuts. So I wanted to move on and do some side-by-side testing, where I'll just cut some paper with the Bel-air and then the Vosteed after they've gone through their cardboard. So we can see that this Bel-air did have a little bit of initial catch on this paper, but once we get it going, it's slicing right through it well. It did hold up very well against that box, and is still cutting very cleanly through the paper. Moving on to the Porcupine, and surprisingly it is holding up just about as well for most of the edge. Now if the edge does catch where a lot of the cardboard was cut, we do see a good bit of catching, but overall I'm surprised at how well it held up. So now I wanted to test how well a good stropping brought their performance back. So I just stropped both of these on a leather strop with some compound, and as you cannot see because this is entirely out of frame, that this is cutting this paper pretty nicely. It definitely did make a world of difference just hitting it on a strop, and I do recommend that just after any job with a knife. If you're breaking down some cardboard or if you're using it every day, if you hit it on the strop at the end of the day, that can make a world of a difference in maintaining that edge. So as you can see though, after the strop, and then just one session with the box, we almost just about completely lost our edge. So the strop did bring it back for the paper, but that cardboard broke it down pretty quickly, and I am having a good bit more trouble getting it through the cardboard. So as we can see, that second cardboard box has done a little bit more of a number on the edge here. Alright, moving on to the Bel-air. So here's our initial edge testing on the paper. Going right through. Strop did make a good bit of difference, but we still see a little bit of a catch there. And let's go ahead and get started on this cardboard. First 20 cuts down, do another paper test. No real discernible difference there. So this is about where we stopped with the Vosteed on the 14C28N, and as we can see, our Magnacut is still getting through that paper. There is a bit of a difference, but not nearly as much as the Porcupine. So let's go ahead and just see how far we can take it before we get similar results. So on the second box, we took about twice as much cardboard to get the same results as the 14C28N on the Magnacut. So I'd say these both held up pretty well against the cardboard. The Magnacut did perform a good bit better after the stropping, but before the strop, not too far off, but the edge was able to be restored and kept its cutting ability, I'd say, a good bit better than the 14C28N. But all in all, I'm still very happy with the way both of these knives performed, and I plan on continuing to do some budget versus premium steels, and if you want to see more, please subscribe.